Channel, and today I want to talk a little bit about some attitudes that I have seen that have been words that have been spoken to me, mindsets that keep you broke. And to be honest, some of these are things I have been guilty of myself, and I'll let you know which ones those are. As always, if you get anything out of these videos, if you enjoy what I'm saying or trying to say, even though they're kind of rambly sometimes, I know that, please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate our subscribers that help me grow the channel. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first one I want to talk about is one that was actually said to me, to my face, by someone I was trying to help with their business. Now keep in mind, I have been working with business owners for about 12 years, giving them advice, and the owners that follow my advice end up firing me because they need an on-staff CPA, which is a good thing. That's why I want my clients to let me go. It's because they've outgrown my services. Their businesses are doing great. One actually was getting ready for an IPO. They really did need a certified public accountant on staff because once you go public, you have to have a public accountant. And so those are the ones that paid attention. The ones that didn't are the ones that I find out later went under. They're the ones that call and say, well, I decided to close the business. Instead of, I decided that we're growing so fast, we need an in-house accountant. So the number one thing that I have had said to me is words to the effect of, it's not your business, so it's none of your business. That's just not true. Even if you are a sole proprietor and you are the sole owner of the business, whether you're a sole owner or a partnership, or you have more people involved in the business, or you're a corporation with thousands of shareholders, just because someone is not an owner in the business does not mean that they are not a stakeholder. Different term. This is not the same thing as a shareholder. A shareholder actually owns stock in a corporation. But a stakeholder is someone who may or may not have anything to do with your business that has a stake in how well you conduct business. An example, number one example I can give you is your employees. Your employees are stakeholders in your business. They're not owners, obviously, unless you own a business or you're running a business that is owned by employees like Winco Foods. Employees typically are not owners of the business. However, they have a vested interest in whether or not your business is doing well. Why? Because if you close the doors, they lose their job. If you put any sort of incentive, especially financial incentive in place, that increases the stake that they have in the business. Your employees want you to succeed. And I'm saying this having just read an article on Facebook about a guy who got a loyalty award after not going to work for 14 years. How he continued to get paid, I don't know, but he didn't show up for work for 14 years and was considered a great employee. But that's a large corporation, very large. It's easier to lose track of things in a large corporation, and I know because I've worked for them. But if you are a small business owner, if you are doing your job right, whether you're a business owner or a manager, you should be getting your employees vested in the outcome of your business. You want your employees to understand that just because you take home a bigger check at the end of the month than you did the month before, you can also make sure that they are taking home a bigger check or recognition or dinner out or whatever motivates your employees. They have a stake in your business. So when your employees come to you and say, I have thoughts, ideas, suggestions on how to do things better, it really is in your best interest to sit them down and say, I want to know what your thoughts are and how can I do things better. I am huge on this, by the way. I have kind of chuckled at some people who said, oh, you micromanage, and I go, I don't even micromanage my kids, much less employees. I bring them on expecting that if someone's working for me, that they should know the basics and they should know to ask questions, and they should also be willing to ask me questions leading to a better outcome for all involved. They should be willing to bring suggestions to the table and not have me just shoot them down. It may be that I've tried them a couple of times, and if so, I would say so, but a lot of times I have employees come to me with thoughts and ideas that are way better than anything I've come up with. And then I want to give them enough space to enact them, to put them into practice. So that's a number one thing. I see this all the time. People who they don't trust their staff. And when they make those statements, well, it's not your business, so it's none of your business. That really does say, I don't trust my staff. If you don't trust your staff, you might as well shut the doors. That's the way it is. If you feel like you have to be on site with your employees every minute of every work day, or they're going to cheat you, then you have the wrong people in place, or you have really terrible training. You need to correct those two things. Another one that I see all the time is when business owners bring in professionals to help them. Understanding that, I as a professional accountant with years of experience in the industry, with lots and lots of classes, with a degree that I'm finishing, with certifications. I'm certified on every accounting software I've ever used. I've been certified at the top level. I might know a few things about accounting that my clients don't know. And I have had clients bring me on and then try to treat me like I'm an employee. You have to be very careful with this, because if you treat someone that you bring on as a 1099 contractor as an employee, they can go back and say, they treated me like I was an employee. They were managing my when I worked, where I worked, how I worked. They were providing me the material with which to work. And if the government comes back, and this is usually a state thing, if the government comes back or the IRS comes back and says, you're right. They were saying what time you should work. They were saying where you should work. They were saying how you should work. They were giving you the tools of the trade. They're an employee. You're on the hook for back payroll taxes. And let me tell you, you do not want to be on the hook for back taxes ever. Ever, 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 because the IRS loves to charge interest. They are not kind about that. They're very kind if you call them and ask questions. They are not kind if they feel like you're trying to dodge things. So that is a huge problem. It's a problem that I have personally with some of my clients, or with some of the clients I've had over the years, that they're trying to get me to come into their office. And I'm like, I have an office. I have an office. I have a very nice professional office. And they're trying to tell me, well, I want you to enter this journal entry. And I'm going, well, if you want to do the accounting, you can do the accounting, because I get paid for my expertise. You hired me because I'm an accountant, and you are not an accountant. So allow the people that you bring on to help you to help you. I always kind of laugh. I hear about people who hire cleaning ladies, and before the cleaning lady gets there, and believe me, if someone works cleaning houses, they have seen it all. Before the cleaning lady gets there, they clean house, because they don't want to be embarrassed. And I'm going, I would never do that. For one thing, there's not that many people living here, so there's not, and everybody is 16 and up. So there's not a lot of mess to worry about to begin with. And then the other thing that is, I pay the cleaning lady to clean, to free up my time so I don't have to do that. It's just kind of an interesting phenomenon I see. Failing to trust your staff. I've briefly mentioned this before, but I'm going to bring this up again. You need to have a really good onboarding process for your employees. And I do mean specifically employees. You need to have a really great onboarding process, and you need to make sure that you train them in such a way and only bring on people that you can trust. You are entrusting them with your business, with the name of your business, with your reputation, not just with the money. I don't ever worry about someone as far as money is concerned, because that will always be caught. But you are trusting them with the name of your business and with your reputation. And if that is damaged, it is very hard to get it back. I have seen this a lot, I'm sure everyone has, on social media, where someone goes on a work trip and has pictures taken of them or video taken of them misbehaving, behaving horribly. And so it's such an embarrassment to the business owner, to the business that they work for, that is out there, that the owner feels like there's no choice but to fire this person for something that may or may not have had anything to do with work itself. Now, the one I'm specifically thinking of, and I don't want to bring it up again, but it is someone that was on a work trip representing her work, and she was acting very poorly in public, and her friend was taking pictures which were all over Facebook and went viral. And because it was a work trip, it was not a for fun trip. She was on work time. She was there for some training. She ended up losing her job. So fortunately, eventually, usually, that fervor kind of dies down as far as social media is concerned. However, keep in mind, if you have a local business, if you're not an online business, if you're not a retail giant like Amazon, if you're not an online business, if you're depending on people in your community to come to your door, those people often do have long memories. I kind of chuckle that Americans we're told all the time, we have short memories when it comes to politics. And I'm not going to get into politics, don't worry about it, but we have very long memories when it comes to the businesses in our area or the people that we work with. Very long memories. In fact, I kind of laugh and say I've had friends come to me and say, well, you remember that thing that happened 25 years ago at this restaurant in downtown, the town that we lived in? It's like, I thought everyone forgot about that. Oh, no, we don't go there anymore because they did this, this, and this. So and then if you have an online business, it is so hard to cut through the noise. You don't want to have a negative review or a negative behavior from one of your employees being the reason people remember your business ever, online or brick and mortar. So you need to be very careful and thoughtful about who you hire. I have been to places where they've hired people that conducted themselves in such a way that I felt unsafe around this particular employee. I'm not one, tats and piercings don't typically bother me. I'm usually looking at conduct. And so when I watch an employee and I see what their conduct is like, and I'm usually, aware that older people aren't big fans of tattoos or body piercing or body modifications of any kind. And so if you're working in a public job where you're working with the public, you have to be mindful of that, whether you like it or not. If you don't ever want to work with the public, you're just fine. If you're going to be working in a call center or just somewhere where you're not interacting with people face to face, it doesn't matter what you look like. But if you are going to be working with people face to face, you need to be aware of how you present yourself. But I always look at an employee's conduct. I don't look at surface behaviors. And I always look and see if they're conducting themselves in a way that makes me feel unsafe. And by that, I don't mean differing opinions. I mean acting furtive when I walk into the room, for example. Makes me wonder if they're stealing. jumping back again when I come around the corner to talk to them. It's things like that that just, that the behavior that makes you think, oh, they're up to something and I need to watch my step. As the business owner, you can't train character, but you can select for it. And then as far as everything else, if you have good employees with good character, you need to be modeling the kind of behavior you want them to have. So if you want employees who hustle, you need to be hustling. If you're the business owner or the manager, you need to be setting the example. Employees can tell if you are the kind of manager that sits in the back room and twiddles their thumbs. I worked for a restaurant back east. It was the only waitressing job I ever took, and it was a lot of fun. It was great because I was in college at the time. And I remember we always knew when we had a manager that was in the back office all the time. We always knew it, and we didn't feel supported. And then they would always come out and try to catch us doing something wrong, which I never had to worry about that because I didn't do anything wrong. But it was, it created a lot of resentment among the employees. So keep in mind, your employees are they can be a huge benefit to you. That's why you hire them. You want them to be an asset to you. You do not want them to be angry and hurt and resentful because of your conduct. So if your attitude is, well, I'm the owner, I can sit back and put my feet up and nobody can say anything, I'm going to hide all of my information, they know, trust me, they know what you're doing. Regardless of what you're doing, if you are up and hustling, your employees will follow that. If you are staying in the back room and keeping the door closed and being secretive, they notice that too. And they will follow the example that you set. It's kind of funny. I come from a large family, and I have 5 kids, and I have noticed that employees are kind of like kids. They will live up or down to the expectations you set. So keep that in mind. The one other thing that I really see that keeps people broke is the idea of the bank balance method of accounting. Most people do this. They don't look at their QuickBooks. They don't look at the reports I send them. They don't understand the reports. And I struggle sometimes with getting them on the phone so I can explain the reports so they know what they're doing or they know what they're looking at. It is always on the client to read what I'm sending them. I generally send an update once a week. I work on my clients' books every week, every single week, and try to do it more often depending on the fee scale and what the agreement with the client is. But once a week I work on all of my client books, and I try to really keep things clear. I try to keep things really clear, and it's frustrating to me, and it causes costly mistakes in the taxes when a client does not follow through on their end. They tend to think that bookkeepers and accountants can do accounting by the ESP method. We can't. Well, I mean, we can, but if we do, it stands for error someplace. We cannot read your mind. We can't. And don't treat us like we can. And don't send such vague questions that it's impossible to answer, or don't get combative or accusatory in your communication with any professional, because that really reduces the desire the professional has to want to work with you. honestly. Remember to treat your employees and your professionals that you work with as partners in your business. They are really working with you to help you grow, not to help you stay broke. It is always, always, I love it, absolutely love it when a client calls me and says, well, we decided to take the company public, we need a public accountant, so we are going to terminate your services. Great, that's the best possible reason. Or we've grown so much, we need someone in-house and we can't afford your rates. Awesome, I'm so excited. But I do not like having people say, well, the business slowed down and we don't know what's going on, and we know that we've spent like the past 5 years working with you and you've given us great advice, but we didn't bother to follow through with it, so we're closing the business. That does not make anybody happy. That's it for today. That's really something that's been on my mind for a really long time, is this attitude of nobody has a stake in my business but me, and that is so absolutely false. Everybody around you that interacts with your business, your customers, your employees, your community, they do have a stake in your business. And if you're smart, if you're a really smart business owner, you will learn to be very responsive to the idea that other people besides you have a stake in your business. There are more attitudes that keep you broke. This is one that's really kind of been festering, and I've been thinking about it for quite some time, and I felt like I really needed to talk about it. So if you enjoy these videos, as always, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell for YouTube so you get notified when new videos are uploaded. I do go live on these rather than edit them because it takes less time. Eventually, sometime soon, I'll start editing them all, but that day is not today. So if you have any suggestions for a video, please comment below. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I do try to always address the concerns that are mentioned in the comments. So please feel free to comment. Thanks again. You guys have a wonderful month.